Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to News. I'm your host, Anwar Mahmood, and this is...
Hamza.
Hamza what?
I don't want to say my last name.
And this is Hamza Falushka. Just kidding. We are here on December 31st, 2010 to celebrate New Year's Eve. We are bringing you a very special broadcast where we will recap all the major events of the decade because it is unfortunately coming to an end. The atrocious event that took place on September 11th, 2001 caused more destruction than imaginable. A series of 4 coordinated terrorist attacks that left over 3,000 deaths. That's not counting the wounded. The terrorist group known as Al-Qaeda hijacked 4 planes and crashed them into the Twin Towers, or officially known as the World Trade Center. They carried out several suicide attacks and targeted the U.S. The war on terror, or the global war on terrorism, began for the U.S. to make sure that something like 9/11 will never happen again. Next up on our New Year's Eve recap, the launching and landing of the rover on planet Mars. NASA sends a rover into orbit on a mission to Mars. This specific rover was designed to scan and examine the atmosphere around to see if Mars was suitable for the human race. Due to our lack of knowledge about the planet Mars, NASA has some hopes of changing that to find out what Mars really is. This vehicle costed approximately $2.5 billion to build and launch. Facebook and MySpace are both popular social networking sites. While MySpace was originally the most popular, Facebook abruptly overtook MySpace. Facebook became popular from college communities and was founded by a Harvard student himself, Mark Zuckerberg. Throughout the years, Facebook became widely known and it was used most commonly by teenagers. Over time, Facebook allowed a large amount of ads to the site and started partnerships with different companies to make money for both parties in the deal. Facebook now has over 600 million users.
Yeah.
Now to Lillian in the studio, where she will be interviewing the one and only Mark Zuckerberg. Discovered in 1930, Pluto was the 9th planet from the Sun. However, in 2006, that all changed. It was officially declared as a dwarf planet, and there are now technically only 8 planets in our solar system today. The name Pluto originated from the Greek god of the underworld, and was picked to be this name by, interestingly enough, an 11-year-old schoolgirl. There is a 72-year gap between when Pluto was announced as a planet and when it was again reaffirmed to be a dwarf planet in 2006. Interesting fact, Pluto is around negative 369 degrees Fahrenheit all year round. Now to our co-host for other topics, Hamza Falushka.
Thank you, Anwar.
You're welcome.
April 26, 2007 was the day the horrifying shooting took place in Virginia Tech. This massacre is known as one of the most deadly college massacres ever recorded, with 32 deaths and 23 left wounded. Seyoung Hui Cho, a senior attending the school, committed suicide shortly after killing the victims. The remaining students mourned for the classmates at a candlelight vigil shortly after the terrifying event. Now we go to Lillian for interviewing the survivor, Christina Anderson.
We meet Christina Anderson. She was shot several times but survived the tragic event of the Virginia Tech massacre.
Hi, everybody.
It's an honor to have you here, Christina.
Thank you, Lillian.
So we were told that you were shot several times during the shooting in Virginia.
Yes, that is correct.
Can you tell us what you're feeling during this time?
Well, I heard gunshots in the hallway. The student loaded his weapon with ammunition targeted at the crowded classrooms. When he busted into the French classroom and shot the professor, I dropped to the floor and hid under my desk with my hands over my head. Each gunshot, as the footsteps got closer, I told myself my time was coming and I had to brace myself.
Go.
Where'd you get shot?
Twice in the back and one in the foot.
How's the foot?
Well, as you look here closely, I forgot to shave. That's pretty funny, but my foot's fine.
Well, thank you for coming here to share your story, Christina.
Well, no problem.
Back
Thank
to
you,
you.
Leanne, for that wonderful interview. Nelson Mandela was a civil rights leader in South Africa. He fought against apartheid, a system where non-white citizens were segregated from whites and did not have equal rights. He served a good portion of his life in prison for his protests, but became a symbol for his people. Later, he would become president of South Africa. Nelson Mandela eventually became a leader in the African National Congress, as known as ANC. At first, he pushed hard for the Congress and the protesters to follow Mahatma Gandhi's nonviolence approach. At one point, he started to doubt that this approach would work and started up an armed branch of the ANC. He planned to bomb certain buildings, but only the buildings, not the people. He wanted to make sure that no one would be hurt. He was classified as a terrorist by the South African government and sent to prison. Mandela would spend the next 27 years in prison. His prison sentence brought international visibility to the anti-apartheid movement. He was finally released through the international pressure in 1990. And now to Hussein Boussy.
Now for sports. The Detroit Lions had the worst season in NFL history in 2008, going 0-16. Having the best receiver in the NFL, they still couldn't find a quarterback to meet his needs. In 2009, help would eventually come to Detroit. April 26, 2009 arrived, and it was time for the NFL draft. Since the team had the worst record in 2008, they had the first pick in the NFL draft. They selected 6'3", 232-pound quarterback Matthew Stafford out of Georgia. In his first 2 seasons, the rookie quarterback didn't do as well as they wanted him to because of his shoulder injury. But in his 3rd year with the Lions, he ended the season with a 10-6 record. From that point on, the Detroit Lions knew that he was their key for many more games to come. Over time, Stafford in all had 21,000 career passing yards and was also the fastest player to achieve the milestone of 20,000 yards. Now back to you, Hamza.
Thank you, Hussein Boussy. Now for a story on the manufacturing of Pontiac. The manufacturer Pontiac has been around and producing cars since 1926. It was first introduced by GM to be an American automobile brand. For Pontiac, it seemed that when Pontiac rose in the economic world, companies around it grew larger. Companies such as Cadillac, GMC, and Chevrolet. GM eventually disconnected from Pontiac to focus more on the more mainstream industry cars that were just listed to you. Due to that reason, Pontiac was to never be seen making cars again. Now back to Hussein Boussy.
Hamza. Now for another story on the Detroit Lions. Although the Detroit Lions are a great defensive team, there were still some issues the team needed to resolve in order to fully fix on the defensive line. The 2010 NFL Draft came by this year. In the second round, the Lions selected 6'4", 304-pound D tackle Ndamukong Suh from the University of Nebraska. The Lions' defense was particularly one of the most feared defenses in the league. And Suh also became the most feared defensive player in the league. Over his few years, Suh was fined over $200,000 in personal fouls, but still held the title of the highest paid defensive player in the NFL. Now to you, Josh, for our last
Tuesday, January 12, 2010, a catastrophic magnitude 7.0 earthquake struck Haiti. This horrifying disaster unfortunately claimed from 100,000 to 316,000 lives. Haiti also lost over 280,000 businesses in the earthquake. Along with that, on January 24th, a whopping 52 aftershocks hit. Haitians endured many things over a short period of time and couldn't recover by themselves. So the Red Cross and many other programs donated and helped more than 4.5 million people get back on their feet. In the Gulf of Mexico, a BP-owned prospect exploded in the water and is considered by some people to be the largest accidental oil spill in the history of the petroleum industry. 11 workers that were there at the time of the explosion and have been gone missing since then. The oil spilled from the prospect for another 87 days until it was capped and sealed on July 15, 2010. It has been reported that over 4.9 million barrels have been estimated by the U.S. government to be lost in the spill. Our last topic this morning is about a fairly new government healthcare plan that has been constructed by none other than Barack Obama. Obamacare, or officially named the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act, PPACA, is a form of health insurance that helps the lower-class citizens of the U.S. and middle-class citizens also be able to afford good quality insurance. At least that's what Obama claims. Obama may have been the election promising all these ideas and plans like Obamacare, but will he have lived up to his words? New Year's Eve decade recap. Until next time, folks, have a happy new year and have a wonderful rest of the day.
That was supposed to be a blooper. Why'd you swear?
I wasn't done! I thought it was done! I just said, now back to you, Hamza.
Are you serious?
Yes!
Oh my god,
I just had to say now back to you, Hamza. All I had to say was now back to you, Hamza.
Holy shit.
Now delete that shit.
That's what I was waiting for. I swear to God, I heard it. That's what I was looking like.
Paranormal activity.
Yeah, I saw you looking at you like
News, news,
Why
news.
is it covering up news?
because we're gonna have
My God, Lord. My God, Lord. My God, Lord.
Damn it.
Don't say it.
Stop,
He didn't
stop,
say it.
stop, stop,
You said the D
stop.
word.
He didn't say that word.
It's not funny. Starbucks was here too.
Shut your ass up.
Na 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 na
Yeah,
na
the cost doesn't matter. Because you
Yeah, I
dumbass.
gotta leave it.
He looks like Anthony Davis, kind of.
Oh, Gooch, it's Chris. Let's go.
Lillian, look at the camera.
Let's go!
Because he's a gamer.
Shut.
Year with the Lions, he ended with a 10-6. The Patriots here. I have to go pay for it.
Pizza, pizza, let's go get the pizza. Pizza, pizza, let's go get the pizza. Look at Boosie running, look at Boosie's mom. Look at Anwar Josh. Oh, Hamza for Luge, like I mean, Josh isn't here. He's being a baby. So, is this a blooper? I still don't
We're
know.
keeping this.
Huh?
What was Adam?
What's up? Hey, selfie, selfie, selfie. That's a good shot. Oh, Lucy's basement. For Luge Leg. Is that how you say it?
no.
Coming down the stairs. Lillian's sister and all these other people.
Friends.
Friends. And more.